r/Askreddit, oldest siblings of Reddit. What do you hate about being the oldest sibling? Hearing the fucking you are his hero speech from your parents. IDKY, I hate that so much. Am I the only one? No. I'm the younger sibling, and I hate it too. She idolizes her brother. No I don't, mum. I actually hate that asshole. Yeah, screw you too, buddy. Everything was always my fault, always. Even if it wasn't me that did it, it was still somehow my fault. I even moved away to live with my dad, and when my sibling did something bad my mom would call to yell at me about how it's my fault. If I were more clever and more stupid at the same time I might have responded with something like, so you're telling me I can control my sibling better than you can? I had this too. Whenever I protested it'd always get the well she learned that behavior from somewhere like. Yay she learned it from you and that, got 'em. I hated being treated a lot older than I actually was, had so much more responsibility, was treated like a parent, and rarely felt like I was a child. My little sister did something she wasn't supposed to. Me, oh man, you're going to get it when mom and dad find out. Mom and dad, why weren't you watching her? You know better than her. I'm old enough to remember how things really were, but my sister and brother believe the rewritten version. I'm glad I'm not alone here. I've got one brother who has a major martyr complex. One day his wife let it slip how hard our lives must have been having to work full time, and never getting help with anything financial, and no support for our extracurricular activities. Sure, I had a job because I wanted my own money, but it was far from full time when I was in HS. My parents aren't rich, but we didn't want for anything, and they paid attention to us. I wasn't into sports, but this brother was, and they spent lots of money going to every single one of his sporting events. They even let the little shit drop out of HS a year early. He fizzled out of sports by his 10th grade year or before, and get his jet, and then he proceeded to live in their house for another 2 years without a job, and not going to college or anything. The sister-in-law didn't know any of that, but thankfully my sister was there to back me up. Responsibilities. Yep, I have majority of the chores, and have been doing them since I was 13, yet my now 15-year-old sister doesn't have to do them. This is especially for babysitting. I have been watching my younger sisters since I was around 12, and now, whenever my parents leave, I have to watch my youngest siblings. My 13 and 15-year-old sister don't have to worry about it though. And if my youngest siblings do anything stupid, I get in trouble for it, not the others. One of the biggest things that has stuck with me is the difference in expectations around responsibilities. When I was 12, I was left alone for the first time at home, and I wanted to do something nice for my parents, so I cleaned the kitchen without being asked, which is big for a 12-year-old. My mom got home and instead of being praised I got criticized for forgetting to put away a few of the clean dishes that I washed and put on the rack to dry. My youngest brother is now 17, and he doesn't do anything around the house even if asked, and gets no flack for it. It's infuriating. Well, my parents are having money problems. It's been going on for a year, and is semi-fueled by alcohol and pot. They've been borrowing from all us kids, there's 7 of us. For a year only none of us knew it was every sibling, nor the extent of the abuse. We recently realized this, and have had big discussions amongst ourselves on how to handle it. Since I'm the oldest I've been nominated to have a serious talk with them tonight. So there's that. Wish me luck guys. Edit for those who were asking. So dad texted me as I was halfway there and told me not to come. This is the second time this week that's happened. I decided to just rip the band-aid off in a text and basically told him that we kids love and worry about him very much. That we all talk to each other and know things have been crazy and are possibly worse than they let on. I said that we want to help and have done so in the past, but before that happens they need to talk to us and be honest about everything. He replied in true jovial dad fashion that things were bad, but he was hopeful for another job and that there was nothing any of us could do anyway. Then he sent me random pictures of his yard work trying to lighten the mood. I just said that he wasn't being a burden and that if/ when he wants to talk to any of us, we are there. There's really nothing else we can do but let it go and hope for the best, since they don't want to talk about it and are probably embarrassed and a little ashamed. Still sucks though. Thank you guys so much for the boost. It's nice to see things like that here, and it helps to know I'm not alone. You have to be a good role model, and I have to babysit my sisters often. I was the oldest of all my cousins, so at every family gathering I was the go-to babysitter. Oh god, I know that so well. They haven't seen you for so long. They're just happy to see you. Just play a little with them. And there went literally any family gathering yet. Same here. It was basically take care of them for us, so we don't have to. I'm the oldest of 6, and we're all in our 30s and 40s now. But back about 15 years ago, when I was in my 20s and my parents were getting divorced, I was the one they both wanted to vent to, because they were too immature to talk rationally to each other. So as the oldest, I was stuck with a lot of go-between tasks, which I did not enjoy at all. This hit me hard. There are plenty of great and shitty things about being the oldest sibling, but this shit takes the cake. When I was 14, my parents' marriage started falling apart. My mom would vent to me about my dad constantly, and my dad would sulk about my mom to me too. In hindsight, they've both been incredibly immature about everything, even though they stayed together. They're still married for shitty reasons, but that experience defined the way I see relationships now. Completely fucked things up for me on that end. I don't know how I'm ever getting married, cause fuck that shit. The fact that I, a 15-year-old, have to share a room with an 8-year-old, and the 5-year-old gets his own goddamn room. Tim, you mind going downstairs for 10 minutes? I feel your pain. Blamed for everything. Yep. I'm reminded of the time that my younger brother and I each wound up with identical Batman action figures. These were of the variety that came bundled with a bunch of cheap accessories, and one of those was a removable cape. I mention that last item specifically because it became the cause of an argument that saw me getting blamed for my siblings' dishonesty. On the day in question, my brother confronted me in the living room, where I had been playing with above-mentioned doll. He came walking up with a slow and steady pace, then stood with his hands on his hips as he stared down at me. "Maximum," he said to me, using the most stern tone he could manage, "did you take my cape?" "Stop imitating Dad," I replied. "That's my cape." He jabbed a finger at the action figure. "That's mine. Give it back." "No, it isn't." I growled back at him. "It's not my fault that you lost yours." This was, as far as my brother was concerned, an overt declaration of war. He marched away, intent on finding our mother, who returned with him a moment later, a look of exasperated irritation on her face. "Maximum," she said to me, "did you take your brother's cape?" I rolled my eyes, which may have been a mistake, and sighed mightily. "No, I didn't. He just can't find his, and now he wants to take mine." My words might as well have been gibberish. "Give your brother back his cape," my mother said. I tried to protest, but she was adamant. I was forced to remove the piece of flimsy cloth from my toy and surrender it to my sibling. Furthermore, as punishment for having stolen the cape in the first place, I was forbidden from playing with my, now cape-free, Batman until I apologized. "Sorry," I muttered, refusing to put any feeling into the word. My mother nodded, apparently satisfied, and returned to whatever she had been doing, which was why she missed it when my brother re-emerged from his room, not a minute later, with a look of sheepish embarrassment on his face. Maximum," he whispered. "I found my cape. You can have this back." *AH-HA*, I shouted, hoping that I would be overheard. "I knew you'd lost yours." "You lied, *. My brother made hurried shushing noises, but I paid them no mind. Instead, I leapt to my feet and stormed away, eventually encountering my mother in the kitchen. I outlined the entire scenario for her, taking time to paint myself as the victim in all of this, and declared my innocence. That time, I got sent to my room for tattling on my brother. Asterisk asterisk TL. Doctor, no matter what, the older brother is to blame. Knowing more about my parents than my siblings ever will or understand. The differences in upbringing is astronomical. I'm 33 and my mom has 4 younger boys and my dad has 3 younger boys. Make sure to like and subscribe.